How's it going, guys? As you can see here, we have another Caddy Alltrack as a long-termer. The Caddy is a car that we've come to know quite well, considering we've had a long-termer in our fleet for just about 4 years. This one has been spending time with our intern, Damian Adams. Damian, how are you doing today?
Well, thank you. Couldn't be better. Very happy to be here chatting about the Alltrack.
Cool. So you've been driving this, and I know your first talking points are around the exterior. So what can you tell us about this one?
Yes, so I like the fact that the Caddy sort of fits in with the Volkswagen Group's design language. They sort of tighten up the bonnet here with these lines, and this one's fitted with 12,000 Rand optional LED daytime running lights and bi-xenon headlamps.
And you see we've got this front splitter design going on here as well. That's part of the Alltrack package.
Yeah, speaking to Peter Palm, our road test engineer, he actually did some towing and some off-road gravel work with the Caddy at the same time, and he mentioned that the ride height isn't brilliant, and this plastic might not be as robust as you think it is.
Okay, even though it's an anti-scuff plate.
Yeah.
Next thing we see, the Alltrack comes with these very special sporty wheels that's sort of inspired by the GTI.
I do think that I like the Cross Caddy's wheels a bit better. They had sort of like the multi-spoke design, but this looks perfectly fine, and the grey matches the black cladding around the wheel arches. So.
Yeah, and speaking of it as an MPV as a whole, you are right. The Alltrack design really does make it look more suburban, I'd say. Yes. What was your experience with that in general? Because it is just a van.
Yeah, so the Caddy is definitely one of the last MPVs around, and if you're looking for something practical, versatile, it does overcome SUVs in that sense.
Are the blacked out tail lamps part of the package, or do they come?
Yes, it's included with the LED and bi-xenon headlamps, and you also get LEDs in the light cluster for the number plate, so I think that looks cool at night.
So the reason why the Caddy is always helpful as a support vehicle is its loading capabilities, and we like to use it as a tracking vehicle for our photographers and videographers. But I believe you had some comments about the tailgate itself.
Often I'd find that this large door would just be too big and too heavy. If you're in a parking lot, I find that reverse parking is not a good idea because you won't be able to access the boot. And especially if the roof's quite low, then it's quite high to touch the ceiling depending on where you are.
You also mentioned that split doors, those are a 2,000 option. Do you think that would be better for this car, or do you find the tailgate better?
I think if you do not need to have the tailgate open while you're driving, then a split tailgate would be more convenient. Okay. The only problem with that is if you want the rear view camera, you can't, because that's just how the option list works.
The wiring doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, next thing to do is to take a step inside and see what it looks like there. Okay, so what we love about the Caddy ever since we've been driving it is that it always has heated seats when we use it.
Yes. Because it's got cloth seats, it heats up very quickly.
That's true.
Doesn't have any thick leather to get through.
That's fast.
Yeah, so it's one of my favorite features, and it's standard. So.
Yeah, and another thing that's standard is this infotainment screen over here. But you had some niggles with it. Not niggles, but there was one thing missing that you didn't like.
There was one big thing missing for me, and that's navigation. I'm of the age of not using maps, so I like to use my phone. Obviously, when you drive, you can't use a phone.
Another very big plus for the Caddy is always storage space and the overall packaging.
Yes.
It's obviously more than what you would get in a traditional SUV. So, has this been beneficial for you?
I think so, yes. Standout would be the steering wheel for me, actually.
Okay.
Leather wrapped. It looks like it's from a Golf or a Polo. With regards to packaging, the Caddy works out perfectly fine. Everything is reasonably ergonomically laid out. The only thing is it's got a high driving position, big view out, large window. The infotainment is quite low. For your music, you got your Bluetooth connectivity, you got the aux cable, and one USB charger, which I guess is good enough if you're willing to share.
And for passengers that you've been carting around, have they been satisfied with the rear legroom?
On the whole, I don't think the rear legroom is class leading, but it's perfectly fine. I can sit behind myself comfortably.
Well, all that we have to do now is take it for a drive and see what you thought it was like to live with on the road. So let's do that. Cool. So we know the Caddy is more of a commercial vehicle, but what has your experience been with it as an everyday commuter?
Every day, perfectly fine. I find that the DSG is comfortable. It's very simple. There's no drive settings. There's nothing that you need to worry about. You put it in D and off you go. Sitting in traffic, doesn't have any problems. Got auto wipers, auto lights, and yeah, pretty comfortable from where I'm sitting.
So this one has the DSG. We had the DSG as well in the previous one that we had. But what are your thoughts on how this 2-litre TDI fits with this transmission?
Pretty much a perfect match. It does get flustered sometimes. For example, if you drive erratically, so if you brake hard and accelerate hard, the DSG will take some time to figure out what gear it is you want to be in.
Okay. What I have experienced from dual clutch transmissions is they've always been very difficult to park because of that, that sort of disengagement. So do you find it's the same with this, or do you think it's easier to park?
I find it easy to park, but I agree with you in the sense that if you're on an incline, the heel hold assist can be a bit temperamental in that it will hold the brakes until you tap the accelerator, but once you tap the accelerator, it might not have engaged the gear yet.
You also had the experience of taking this car on the long road when we were doing our performance shootout. We all flew up to Natal, but you were forced to drive the support vehicle. What was that like?
Yeah, and I had the privilege of driving with Gareth Dean, almost 4,000 k's to Port Shepstone and back.
Intense.
Yeah, Caddy's perfectly comfortable on the long road. We've got cruise control as standard, so that really helped maintain a constant speed, and I think that also brings the fuel consumption down.
So this being a 2-litre TDI, what has the overall consumption been like?
Overall, we managed 7.8 litres per 100. And that's considering the fact that the Caddy's had multiple drivers with different driving styles. So I think 7.8 for a car this side is very good in the real world.
Lastly, and what I think most importantly, what was your service experience like?
So when we came back from performance shootout, I took it to Baron's Volkswagen Claremont.
Okay.
After having scheduled it online, I got a confirmation SMS and a confirmation email, so that worked out really easily. The service was done in 6 hours. A quick oil filter change and brake fluid top up was done very quickly.
What about price? This is a unique segment, but if you're going to compare it to crossovers that sort of compete with it, where is this thing priced? Do you think it's appropriate as well?
It's a tricky one because I think the specific car is going to suit very specific needs. 446,000 is what the Caddy is asking, and I think it is a bit steep considering the fact that they are Qashqais and Tiguans of the world. Okay. But I don't think that they will be able to go through the rigor of everyday life that the car is asked of the Caddy, especially the fact that everything's quite hardy, and if you have soft materials in the car, they will tear, they will crack eventually.
Over the past year, we've kind of noticed that the Caddy Alltrack has been a perfect all-rounder car. It looks good, the utility space is very handy, and that transmission, it's quite a gem, especially mated to that 2-litre turbo diesel engine. If you're the adventurous kind of person that needs the utility space that this car offers, it will be perfect. And to use on a daily basis, it is actually quite comfortable. Rest assured, this car will be well missed by the car editorial.